Oh boy, do we have a fun one for you today. And this is something near and dear to my heart because if you've been listening to Ladies Who Question, and you didn't even have to listen that closely, you know my world is animals. I love animals, especially dogs, and I miss my dog, Harvey, the wonder dog, intensely. It's been over 2.5 years, and I still have a pain in my heart for him. But that leads me to introduce our guest. Our guest today is Linda Roberts. Thanks for coming, Linda.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't you tell us, we're just going to jump right in here. Tell us about you and what you do.
Well, I am an intuitive and an animal communicator. I didn't realize I had these abilities until my heart horse, Howie, was sick, and I struggled with keeping him healthy for the first 2 years that I had him. And I spent thousands of dollars going to veterinary hospitals, different veterinarians, different practices, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing was working until I started to communicate with him. He needed some emotional healing. And it was through animal communication that I was able to help him. And we had 15 blessed years together.
How did you discover that? That's incredible. But how did you come to say, oh, I have a gift and I can help Howie, my horse?
It was quite simple, to be honest. I was meditating. At the time, my mother had passed away. I was grieving her loss. I was going through a very challenging divorce. Young children, 3 dogs at the time, and I just needed an escape. And it was through meditation in my closet to escape the world. And my horse, who at the time was 30 minutes away from me in Wisconsin in a boarding facility, he communicated through that meditation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So wait, did you feel it at that moment? Like a light goes on? Like what did it feel like? How did you know that this was happening, that you had this ability?
I saw his face. So I was in my closet. It was kind of dark. I mean, it was a walk-in closet. But
what were you doing in your closet, by the way? Were you just like sitting
escaping.
there? You were meditating. Okay.
Meditating. I was meditating and
Okay,
escaping.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt. Go.
No. And so I saw his beautiful face. He's a red chestnut. So I saw his beautiful face. And then I felt his voice. And it kind of came in through my head, like a voice in my head. But I knew it was him.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Wow.
Yeah. And do you remember what he said? It wasn't like Mr. Ed.
Hello, Linda. I need your help.
No, I was testing it. I was testing the waters because, I'm an educated woman. I've got 3 degrees. I've got a master's. And I'm like, tell me I'm not crazy. Are you serious? And so he showed me some images of us riding, like we had ridden a week or 2 before that. And I saw those images like rewound again. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't really remember that particular ride, but something unique happened in that ride. Like he spotted something in the outside arena. Like he spotted a different person walking out there. And so he was pointing that out to me. And I hadn't remembered that. I had forgotten about it. But he remembered it and he brought that back around to my attention. And so it's getting that confirming information all the time that gives me the confidence that I know that I'm accurate.
Wow. Do you think that the next time you saw him that he knew that you knew?
Absolutely.
How could you tell? I mean, of course, horses' eyes are so expressive.
In the eyes, yeah. I mean, when you look in anyone's eyes, they're windows to the soul. And I just feel it just brought us closer together.
Oh, boy.
It truly did.
So what was how did it go when you were repairing the emotional relationship with you and your horse that brought him to feel better? Like, what was the process?
So I did some energy work on him. At the time, it was Reiki. Mm-hmm. So I rebalanced his chakra systems so that he could feel better and more balanced. Things were not good with his digestion. So I worked with the solar plexus chakra in particular to rebalance that.
How did you know to do that?
It came intuitively. Reiki itself is channeling this divine energy that comes from the source, and it comes through our body because we're all connected to source, and you channel it.
What do you mean by source?
God, the creator,
Okay.
whomever.
Everything- Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whomever and whatever you want to call that. And so that energy provided healing and balance for him. So he was colicking, which is life-threatening if you know anything about horses. And they die of colic all the time. Well, he was colicking 4 or 5 times a year, which is insane.
Oh.
So I was really happy that when I balanced his energy, he calmed down and he didn't colic as much.
Wow.
Well, something happened that was right.
Yes.
Is that what you mean by shamanic healing?
In a way, yeah. The shamanic healing, I think, for me, it goes further than Reiki. It gets to the root of things. Through shamanism, I was able to view past lives with my heart horse, Howie. And I've seen past lives with, people in my lives as well as the animals in my lives. And so the shamanism goes a little bit deeper, in my opinion.
Okay, well, that kind of brings me to how I decided to bring
Linda.
Linda in today is because when Harvey passed in August of I always forget the year because it's almost like I want to forget.
Right.
It was 2021, and my heart, was ripped to shreds, and I put something out on Facebook and got a tremendous response from so many people who also had loved and known Harvey. And one of the people who responded was Linda. And then also you were at the time running some sort of a contest, I believe, about a reading or something. Yes. And I won the contest, but I couldn't do it right away. I kept putting it off for months. And Linda, hey, are you ready to claim your prize? I can do the reading. It might really help you. Because I was so wrought with pain and then finally, literally sitting in the parking lot at Target, she called and we had set the time and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm just sitting here in the park. I couldn't have been less enthusiastic. I was just like, thank you for doing this. I hope it helps, but nothing will. And you proceeded to do the reading and I felt something hearing the things that Linda was telling me because everything is a blur in that whole time period of my life. I do know that. I don't recall what you said, but I do remember it was significant and meaningful. And I became a believer, truly. So that's how I got to know Linda, and that's why she's here. I also have a question. You also call yourself an alchemist. Now, describe that with regard to what you do.
So as an alchemist, I shift energies around me so that things can change and transform, hopefully for the better. So if there's a stagnant energy, so let's go to the heart chakra. A lot of times when we're grieving loss of a loved one, our heart chakra closes up and it gets blocked. And as an alchemist and as a shaman, I direct energy healing to that space, inviting it to open to be balanced in a loving and compassionate way. There's a lot of times when people aren't ready to have their heart chakra rebalanced, and the energy is there and it's available when and if they want it. It's not forced upon them because we have free will. So you get to decide when you're ready to heal the grief or let something go.
And that also applies to animals as well as people?
Absolutely. I've helped many, many rescues, many traumatized animals, dogs, cats, and horses. As you can imagine, there's so many that have been, homeless or abandoned.
Neglected, abused.
Yes.
So do you help people too?
I do.
Okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. So you came to this because of your horse and you helped your horse. Then did you start taking classes? Because it sounds like you're so educated on these topics that they couldn't just come to your head.
The animal communication is self-taught. I just tapped into it myself through meditations. I'm a firm believer that we all come to Earth with this ability, but we choose to turn it on and off depending on whether we're supported in that ability or not.
So true.
I was a preschool teacher before this, and I think the reason why I was drawn to preschoolers was because they're still open. They're still very much connected to this imagination and make-believe, which isn't physically visible to humans, adult humans, but it is to the children. Well, it's there, and they're seeing it, and they're being truthful about it. But if they're not supported, then they close off. Okay. So for the animal communication, I tapped into my natural abilities through meditation and by talking with my spirit guides. The shamanism,
Wait, are spirit guides real people?
they're spirits.
Oh, okay.
They're
So
guides.
maybe
like
they
a-
were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they just are up there too.
like
or-
a guardian angel.
Okay.
We know about
Okay.
those.
Yes. Yeah. So the shamanism, I studied with several different shamans who are renowned in the Center for Shamanism that is out of New York. I think it's near it was affiliated with the Omega Institute. But I studied with several of them to learn that technique of shamanism. And the Reiki, I had a few different Reiki master teachers.
Wow.
Wow.
And I teach everything that I do because we all have these abilities.
So what is your
Whoa.
background? You said a master's, and I saw something about you worked in HR or...
Yeah. So I've got a bachelor's in sociology and psychology.
Oh, okay, well, there's your start right there. Yeah.
And I was in human resources for 10 years. I was actually working here in Lake Forest for Leaf, the candy company.
Oh,
Do you remember them?
yeah, I worship at their feet, the feet of the company. Are you kidding? Leaf? They should pay me so I can pay retroactively all my dental. I love their candy. Anyway, go on.
Yes,
Are
yes.
they still in business here?
No, they were bought by Hershey.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's right.
that's when
Sorry, I just got a little crazy there. I started perspiring. I was so
Candy,
excited.
Lisë. Candy, Lisë.
I'm sorry. Go on. So you were working for Leaf in HR.
And then they were bought by Hershey. So that was my introduction to being a stay-at-home mom. I had some young children at that point and was stir crazy staying at home for a couple of years. So I went and got my teaching certificate. When I was in human resources, I went and got my master's at Loyola. And then my third degree is my teaching education, where I became a certified elementary school teacher.
Now you have your own company, Whispers of Love.
Yes.
Now, what's that about?
It's about healing and intuitive messages for people and for animals to help people to feel better and for animals to heal as well.
So it's therapy,
Yes.
and people would go to you as a therapist.
Energy therapy.
Energy therapy. Okay.
Sometimes we talk. Sometimes I'm quiet when I'm shifting the energy.
Oh, I love that. That sounds so cool. So tell us a little bit about your client base. Do you have more people or more animals?
Oh,
And how do people
yeah.
find you?
It's about 50-50, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah. So a lot of people start with bringing me their animals, and then they end up receiving healings for themselves because they see the transformation that the animal has made when the animal has anxiety, or if they're grieving the loss of their beloved animal, then they want to have healings for that. One of my clients today was just that. She hired me for an end of life or afterlife consultation with one of her cats, and she felt the energy. She found me on Google, which is amazing because 95% of
I
my
would think that
clients
would be it.
are referred into me. I get
wow.
referrals. I get referrals. So she said, I was just drawn to you. And then we did a healing today, and she was just blown away. She's like, I feel so much lighter and so much clearer. Thank you.
Oh, that's what it's supposed to do,
Wow.
right? I guess.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That was a good question, though. Yeah, which one? What's the percentage
And
there
so
breakdown?
let's say I bring a dog in to you that has anxiety. Where do you start? How do you assess?
Most of my readings are done remotely.
Oh,
I use energy because how would I be able to speak with a deceased animal, right? They're not going to bring them to me. It's the energy connection that I make through the chakra systems. So typically if someone has a dog or a cat with anxiety, I talk with the animal telepathically. I'm on the phone
okay.
with the human.
Uh-huh.
The animal is with the human somewhere. Could be sleeping, could be, running around with its siblings or whatever. And I'm talking with the animal about, their anxiety. I'm shifting the energy in their chakra systems wherever that stagnation anxiety is residing. And I'm helping them to release it.
Yeah, the animal.
To release
For
it.
the animal.
And even though the animal's not, is the animal listening to you when you're talking on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a three-way call.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I wonder what the
gosh.
animal, I'd like to see that in action, like to see if the dog starts acting out or starts presenting physically differently or something, or that would be cool.
A lot of times the clients are like, well, it was just yesterday's client. It was a cat, and the cat and I were talking, and the cat was having some behavior issues with litter box things. And the cat came up to the phone and rubbed up against it. And she's like, this cat has never done that.
Oh my God.
I can't believe this. So yeah, we get behaviors like that when we feel like we're being listened to, right? We're drawn to people or souls who feel like they're listening to us.
I could imagine that maybe possibly during your session that the human's starting to feel like going through a little transformation as well.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's a 2-for-1 thing.
Well, they feel better that their pets, the energy transfer between themselves and their pet
Yes.
is being altered.
Yes.
So, positively.
Yes.
Good question, Holly. We have a bunch of questions from listeners. Are you ready?
Yes.
Holly, do you have something else
Yes.
before we start into this?
We have a listener. Her name is Chelsea. If a dog could talk, what would it say, and how much can dogs really understand from us?
Well, here's what I have found out over the past 12 years of doing this professionally. The animals speak the universal language that we all speak. If you've ever listened to some podcasts, or I know there's a movie or a book, I can't recall the name of it, but people who have had these afterlife experiences where they've died and come back, and they say, I was talking with my angels, or I was talking with my guides, but I wasn't moving my mouth, but there was a conversation going. That's what I'm doing when I'm talking with the animals. It's this universal language. So I've had clients around the world who are from different countries.
Don't even speak English?
Correct.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, oh, I'm from Japan. How is my cat going to understand you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a universal language. We all can understand telepathy. It's an energy exchange. So to answer the other part of that question that she had, can dogs really understand what we're trying to say? The answer is absolutely. They understand more than probably we understand about ourselves, because they're watching us all the time. They're reading our body language, number one. But secondly, they're in our heads. They're in our thoughts a lot of times. And I experienced this with one of my dogs. And this was when I was just starting out. My one dog, he loved to play fetch. He's in the spirit world now, bless his soul. He loved to play fetch. And I was in the middle of watching this really interesting movie one night. And I thought in my head, his name was Jack. Jack, I'll play with you at 8 o'clock. Just let me get through this show. It ends at 8. And
he checked his wristwatch.
yeah,
Okay,
so
59 minutes from now.
So he laid
Right.
down. He laid down next to me, and was chewing on something or whatever. 8 o'clock hit on the VCR. It was back when we had VCRs. 8 o'clock hit on that clock, and he jumped up and gave me his toy.
Oh,
and was like,
whoa.
"Let's play."
Oh,
I wonder if your
Whoa.
pets are different than other pets because you do this with them.
oh yeah.
We are plugged in. So my cats they're big boys. They're Maine Coon mixes, so they're about 18 pounds. They're big boys.
Okay.
They're rescues. And so they get hungry in the mornings. And I've asked them to wake me up at 6 o'clock, not before 6, but 6 or after. Now this took about 6 months of me trial and error, reminding them before I went to bed, 6 o'clock. I show them the clocks. There are several digital clocks around the house. 6 on the dot, they come and wake me up. I kid you not. On the weekends when I want to sleep in, I'm like 6:30. It looks like this. So I'm sending them the 6 and the 3 and the 0 images in my head to their head. And I'm just directing them to what it looks like on the digital clocks.
No verbal. Just
Correct.
all
Telepathic.
telepathic.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow, this is going sci-fi.
Yeah. This is even beyond what I would have. Yeah.
So
Wow.
because I teach this, let's have fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Try it with your own animals
I will.
or those in your life that
Yeah.
you get to visit. If they're lying there comfortably doing, whatever, and you're just sitting there, just have the thought, if you can hear me, can you turn and look at me? Or if you can hear me, can you wag your tail?
You got to try that at home with your grand dog Moon.
I will.
Please
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And let us know.
I will.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I guide my animal communication students to do, is to test things out so that you get that confirmation, because the confirmation, that's the gold, that really helps.
And
Yes.
you guys are communicating.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's very cool. I can't wait to hear about what happens
I bet
when
you
you
bring
report back.
so much peace to people's lives.
I try to. It's worked for me. I was a very worried person until I started to do all of this, and now I've become much more peaceful in life.
Well, meditation is supposed to be able to do that.
It
right?
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Here's our next question. How do you know if your pet is happy?
That's the number one question I get.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. How do you know? Well, gosh, why don't you ask? Ask the animal. Look them in the eye and ask them and see how they respond. Do they blink at you? Do they turn their head with a question like, what? What are you trying to say? And repeat it. Sometimes we need to have questions repeated to us. I didn't quite understand what you were saying. So repeat it several times and see what the animal does physically to respond back to you. But how do you know if they're happy? I think you have to be in the present moment and be aware of the nuances that they're showing you physically, that they're happy. For a cat, maybe they're rubbing up against your leg or inviting you to play with them. A dog is inviting you to play with them, wagging their tail when you come home, greeting you in however they greet you, by jumping or barking or however that may be. But being present in the present moment, it really helps us to connect to every living thing, not only our animals, but with nature as well.
Okay. So I guess when you see your grand dog, Moon, just look him in the eye and just register. Think it hard. Look at him, and I want to know. Yeah.
I will. Okay, so I have a quick question. What's the range of animals that you've helped, like aside from dogs?
Yeah, dogs, cats, horses, wildlife. When we were having the wildfires in Australia a couple of years ago, and we were having the wildfires out in California and Oregon a few years ago, I was communicating with the wild horses out there.
Oh, that's right.
Just get to water, get to safety, go away from the smoke, directing them to go to the water and to get away from the smoke as best as possible. I'm also a volunteer educator at the Lake County Forest Preserves. It's that teacher in me.
Yeah.
And I would care for the red-tailed hawk that was on site there and the screech owl. Now, the red-tailed hawk has since passed, but she broke the Guinness World Record for the longest living, not domestic hawk, but rehabbed hawk.
How old was she?
33.
I don't know the lifespan of a
In the
hawk
wild,
or-
they live to about 12.
Yeah, well, that would make sense.
So because of you, this hawk lived to 33.
I was one of many caretakers. I can't take credit for that, but
still.
But
you
she and I had many insightful conversations. I'm a co-author in a book, Paw Prints on Our Souls is the name of the book. And I wrote a story about my relationship with the hawk.
Oh, cool. Where's that available? Your
It's on Amazon.
Okay. Paw Prints on Our Souls.
Yeah, you can also go to my website.
So what did she say? Stuff like, I found the best mouse today. Like what?
Well, she was hand-fed.
Oh, okay.
Because she was...
oh, that's right. She was in free range. She was in a sanctuary.
She had an injured wing. So we had to hand feed her, which was quite the experience. Having her decapitate a rat while you're holding it is a lovely thing.
That's not the job for me.
Poor rat. And then you talk to the rat too.
Oh, circle of life, Lisa, circle of life. Okay,
That's right.
I'm going to erase right in my mind right now. Okay, well that's very cool, and you're helping. Thank you for being a volunteer like that.
Yes.
Gamey and horrific as it sounds. I have another question from a listener. What is the most profound, interesting story or revelation that you have from being a pet communicator? So, the paramount experience.
Oh,
Well, if you have two, that's fine too, but...
One that comes to mind that is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's based in Chicago. So again, I don't go to people's homes. I do all this remotely over the phone. someone had found me, and she lives in a home in Chicago. She was renovating it. It's on the historical registry in Chicago. She has 2 cats. She had moved into the home 6 months ago and was starting the renovations about a month prior to me being contacted. About when the renovations started, one of her cats kept waking up every hour of the night and was waking her up and wouldn't let her sleep. The other cat was sleeping through the night. No issues. So she could not figure it out. She tried feeding, she tried litter box, she tried snuggling, she tried all the things to get this cat to quiet down so she could rest. So she reaches out to me. I'm on the phone with her. I'm at my home in Lake Forest at the time, and she's at her home in Chicago. And I talk to the cat after she explains the restless nights. And I say to the cat, what's going on? And the cat says, look at this place. So I take my focus off of the cat. My energy connection with the cat is now looking at the house. There are about 100 spirits in this house floating around.
Whoa. I was going to say maybe it
could
was just a
see them?
construction.
Yes. I could see these spirits.
Okay, I'm freaked. Officially.
It gets better.
Oh my God.
And this is why I learned shamanism, because I like to heal those wayward spirits and send them to the light so they can then reincarnate and have other experiences. So I said to the woman, you've got spirits. How do you feel in parts of your house? And she said to me, oh, the previous owner fell down the top stairs because it was an old Victorian house and died in the house. I go, okay. Because I really felt this strong vibe in the basement.
Yeah, what about the other 99? What happened to them?
Exactly.
And I said, how do you feel about going into the basement? She goes, I can't go down there. She goes, during the walkthrough when we bought the place, the hair stood on the back of my head, and I freaked out going down there. But the realtor wanted to show us this really cool thing that was down there.
A dungeon. No, I'm just kidding.
No, access through the Underground Railroad. They could see.
Goodness.
They could see into the basement of the other house.
Oh my God.
Wow. There was like a tunnel.
Yes.
My
and
God.
all the souls
You hear about this.
that were going and using that, they were still lingering there.
Wow.
So I did a huge house clearing.
Did you have to go there?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I did it all remotely, right there and then. And I asked the cat, how does it feel now after the clearing? And the cat says, yes, this will do. The cat was very protective.
This will do.
The cat was very protective. And so I followed up with my client, which I always do. And I think it was about a month later, she got back to me. She goes, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you. I wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a fluke. But for a month now, I've been sleeping through the night. And so has my cat. I was very, very blessed to be a part of that healing.
See, now, at face value, you'd think to yourself, just given what you talked about the situation initially, well, yeah, there's a lot of construction. Cats don't like that kind of disruption. A dog will work around it. Like, oh, yeah, they're redoing the kitchen. I don't like it, but okay, I'll go with this part. Not a cat. Cats don't like that. But this, there was so much more to the story.
Right.
I mean, how could you top that? That's definitely. I mean, you cannot have another one better than that.
That's my favorite.
That's
for
the
sure.
ultimate.
Awesome.
All right. Well, here's another question. We're on the downside now because that was just too good.
Right.
How long do pets retain memories? Like, do they remember extended family members or their owners? Like their cousin or somebody, or like they haven't seen them for a while.
Oh, absolutely.
It may depend upon the animal too. I don't know.
Something else that may blow your mind is we remember even from different lifetimes. We remember one another.
People or cats? I know people supposedly do, but
All living things.
Do you?
Yes.
You were okay. So you were
Dogs,
somebody.
cats, horses.
Were you somebody else before?
Yes.
And who were you?
I've been a lot of different people
And
and animals. We
and you-
choose our form.
oh wow.
We can choose to be human or animal. But to get back to that memory question, when animals are reunited with loved ones, like let's say they've gone missing or an animal was kidnapped by, a disgruntled spouse or something. Yeah, they're absolutely going to remember the family, the children, the other spouse when they're reunited. I don't think the memories have, an expiration date. But I've also seen reincarnation happening a lot with my clients. So there was this one client where I was doing a reading for this dog, and the dog was a male, and the dog kept saying, Tori, Tori, tell them I'm Tori. And I go, I don't know, your name is Jackson. I don't know what Tori is, but I'll mention it. And so as soon as I did, there was like silence, like the microphone was dropped, and this was on the phone. And I go, is everything okay? And they're like, Tori was our dog from 30 years ago.
Oh, whoa. So it came back.
Reincarnated.
Oh, and it came to the same owners.
Yes. And
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
the universe. Magic is alive and well, my friends.
Oh my God, I love your spirit.
There are lots of reunited things happening. And so they stopped and they thought, and they're like, oh my gosh, there are similar qualities. No wonder this dog was so easy to train. He already knew the things that we liked and what we did and all of the things, because they were consistent with how they were doing their training for their dogs and things. And so I see reincarnation happening all the time.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Do you
oh boy.
do a lot of human readings for that?
I do.
And you tell people what they were, or?
Yes, it's called a past life regression.
Okay.
So in a way, it's like going back in time, kind of through hypnosis. And you can you can witness yourself doing that. I had a client, she had strong abandonment feelings when her husband would travel overseas. And she was in her house on the North Shore. And she's like, it just doesn't make sense. It was actually her dog that brought her to me, because she said, my dog has anxiety, but it's only when my husband's gone. And I talked to the dog, and the dog pointed its paw at her, and it says, it's her I'm feeling.
Oh, of course, picking up on the mom's anxiety
Yes.
and feelings of abandonment.
Yes. So
Sure.
she did a past life regression with me, and she witnessed, she could see herself as this person anyway, it was back around like Stone Age area. I mean, like there weren't structures as we witnessed it, because we compared notes after the past life regression. And the way she described it was the way that I saw it as well. And then she released some of the abandonment pains or wounds that she had. And she, again, after a couple of weeks, she called me up and she said, thank you. I do not have that nervous anxiety anymore when my husband travels.
Wow.
And the dog's better too.
That's right.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, can I say one thing?
Yes.
So I always think that dogs that are rescued, for the most part, are so appreciative. My daughter's dog's a rescue. We had a rescue ourselves. And this particular dog is so happy. And I go, I know he knows that he's in such a better spot. Do you have can you enlighten me on any of the rescue pets?
I second what she's saying too. And I don't know why that is, but we've talked, Holly and I have discussed this, and we are certain that that is the case.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do appreciate the homes more so than some others who come for different experiences. The concept about a life and a life's journey is we choose our path because we have free will. Humans have free will, animals have free will, but we're co-creating. So sometimes someone else's free will negatively affects another's free will. And that's why sometimes animals get to be in the situations that they're in, where they're neglected or they're let loose or they're just not taken care of properly. And so they know what it's like. I feel like a lot of the rescue animals are old souls.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they know the proper care. They know how it's supposed to be done. And when they don't have it, then they certainly feel sad. But then when they get rescued and get the proper care, then they feel like they can really show their true colors.
You know what? Even for someone who's skeptical of any of this, that explanation is so logical. How can you not at least give that a little bit of your of your mind, just to say, yeah, okay, there's a possibility.
Oh yeah, I am a very logical person. I always questioned and doubted everything that I got, but I asked for proof and confirmation, and gosh, I got it every time, and I was amazed every time when I first started to do this.
One of the other question from another listener: what is the most common mistake or the biggest mistake that people make with their pets?
I feel a lot of people discount the heart and soul that animals have. I mean, some people don't believe animals have souls, or that they don't have pains, or they don't have emotional traumas, but they do. And I feel a lot of times people don't want to acknowledge that, maybe because maybe it shows vulnerability on their own part. I can't get into the motivation of why some people do that, but I would say, forgetting that animals have hearts and souls just like we do, and they should be treated with respect.
That's a good way to remind people to just respect animals because it's another living thing.
Right.
But also keep in mind, they've got the same thing going on
Heart and soul,
that we do.
and they think like we think.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
just don't talk
And
in our
they-
language.
Yeah, that's
With
right.
Verbally, but like telepathically. I can't wait to experiment.
With Moon? I know.
Yeah.
I don't have a doggy yet again, so I can't.
Well,
but
you might be getting one to babysit, so you can start.
I always do.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, I could start doing this with the dogs that I take care of.
Right. You see 13 dogs today.
Yeah, it's true.
Great.
But I mean, one time, like I've got a doggy coming for this weekend. Oh, I'm going to work my magic on her.
There you go.
Do it.
Yeah.
I
Tell
will.
us how it goes.
And she's a particularly empathetic dog. I mean, she could be, a comfort dog. She should have been. I mean, she still could be, but anyway, she's not. But she could be. So she'll be a good one. I want to talk about your dog, Floyd, your Sheltie
Yes.
doggy.
Yes.
And he was having trouble with hypothyroidism.
Yes. Yeah, he was misdiagnosed for 2.5 years. I took him to 5 different vets, and he had the correct blood work, but nobody took the time to look at the blood work, unfortunately. I kept transferring the records to different vets, and nobody was reading his foundational blood work that showed he was hypothyroid.
So
Yes.
why did they do the blood work if they weren't going to read it to you and explain it to you? I don't understand how that works. How does that?
I know. I know. I was very frustrated. And so I took matters in my own hands with his health because he was having repeated staph infections. He had lost a lot of his hair. If you have an underactive thyroid for a number of years, you do have hair loss and it doesn't grow back. I decided to do everything I could to help him after taking him to the veterinary hospital twice in the 2 years' time. And he had his back end collapsed, which is why I went to he was just weak because his thyroid wasn't acting right for 2 years. And he was on a good quality kibble. And I just said, I just need to do better for him, for his health, to get body weight on him and get more hair growth and coat shiny again. And I'm going to do the best I can. And I tried raw, and that upset his stomach. So I did home cooked food. And I did my research. I looked at a couple of different vets. 2 are in Chicago, and they wrote books with some recipes. And so I worked with those recipes, and 8 years later, he is 14 and a half and doing great.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you did work some magic there. Nutrition magic, but that's where it starts with proper nutrition.
You must be busy.
I am.
I mean, in demand.
I am. Yes. Yeah.
Because it sounds like you can fix so many situations.
I have my own situations to fix sometimes too. So it's a balancing act, right?
right.
But I have health issues as well. So I have been cooking for myself for a number of years. And I'm like, what's the difference? Cooking for the dogs, it's just a little bit more food. And, a crock pot does wonders at preparing the meat for
Do you
for
cook
the
the
dogs.
same thing for your dogs as
I
you
do.
do for yourself?
I do.
Oh.
Yeah, like last night
nice.
they had asparagus with some beef tips and some ground turkey.
That's a happy dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And a multivitamin.
Oh my
they have a whole
gosh.
food multivitamin.
I hope the spirit of
Wow.
Harvey isn't listening to this right now, because if he is, he's going to say, Mother, you fed me crap. I mean, I could barely cook for myself. I certainly wasn't cooking for him, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to make Nick's doggy. I'm going to make that a priority. Well, I mean, if you're going to make it for yourself and it's okay for that dog's system,
Yes.
but I guess that's through trial and error, because some dogs may not tolerate some human or should have some human food, correct?
Right. That's why I
Yeah.
did my research and I read those books by those veterinarians, because there are some foods that are quite toxic to dogs, so you don't want to feed those.
Garlic, onion.
Garlic is safe. I give
garlic?
my
It's
dogs
in the allium
garlic.
family, though.
I give my dogs garlic for flea and
Oh,
tick
right.
prevention.
That's
The
right.
study that was done, they fed an absorbent amount of garlic that would, probably kill a human to those subject dogs. So that one study has been discounted by the holistic vets that I listen to.
Okay, how about onion, though? That's in the
No
allium
onion.
family. No onion. But
No onion.
garlic is in the allium family, but it's okay.
I don't know if it's in the allium family,
not?
but I
Oh,
know
okay.
it's okay.
I defer to you. I'm talking, just stuff I think I know.
Yeah. No, when in doubt, do your homework, truly, with
Oh, well,
anything.
yeah.
And anything I'm saying, please do your homework.
Well, how can people, do you have any other questions? Because otherwise
No.
I want to direct.
well, I know we want to wrap up about where we can find you, but where do you teach?
Oh, yeah, right.
So I teach at some crystal shops that are in our area. And there is one holistic place called Inner Haven. It's in Grays Lake. I've got some upcoming classes there.
Okay.
That's in Illinois. Grays Lake is in Illinois.
And the other is at Sacred Ground, which is in Arlington Heights, Illinois. That's a crystal shop. And then I have online classes all the time.
Okay. So let's get into where we can find you.
How can people avail themselves of your classes and reading and nutrition advice for their dogs, etc.?
Yes, yeah. So my website is thewhispersoflove.com, and that's THE, whispersoflove.com. On Instagram, I'm Pet Whisperer Inc., and you can find me on Facebook also under The Whispers of Love.
Okay, The Whispers of Love on Facebook, and that's your website, you said?
Yes.
And then Pet Whisperer Inc.
Yes.
on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you Google Pet Whisperer, will you come up?
Yes.
Predominantly.
It depends on the area that you're in. In the Chicago area, I do come up, yes.
And for international, because you said you had some international clients, they just Googled?
Sometimes they find me through my blog. I love to write.
Oh, you
so
have a blog.
I've got
Okay.
a blog about some of the interesting stories that I've had through the years with the animals. And sometimes people find me through there, or they find me through Google, or referral is the number one way I get my clients.
Is your blog on your website?
Yes.
thewhispersoflove.com.
Yes.
Then your blog will be there.
Yes.
And that sounds like a compendium of information they can tap into, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
One last question. Any celebrities that you work with?
I should have known you'd ask that. It's another
It sounds
great
like something
question.
celebrities would
It does.
indulge in.
Of course, of course.
Not as of yet.
Oh my gosh, I think you'd be huge in
Yep.
Hollywood.
Yes. Well,
We got to get the word out.
yes, get it out.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
Wow.
I didn't. I leave it to you to answer that or,
Well,
or
I had
ask
to.
that.
That's my MO. But you're fascinating.
Well,
like
thank
I was
you.
just in
Yeah,
awe. It was
yeah.
such a fun interview. Thank you so much.
Thank
for,
you so much.
Oh my gosh.
We truly appreciate you taking the time. What else?
Yes. Well, I was going to ask her the name of her book.
Oh, yeah, the book.
Yeah, it's
What was it?
Paw Prints on My Soul.
Right. Paw Prints on My Soul.
And
And,
I'm
that
a-
is available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, I'm a co-author. It's a compilation of several
Okay.
people. I really appreciate you hearing my stories and sharing them with the world, and making the world a better place for humans and animals is my goal.
Well, that's kind of what our
great-
mission is about, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I
Be-
definitely.
Be
yeah.
happy, be positive. Let's always have fun topics. There's
Yeah.
too much ick out there.
There's Way too much ick. And we are not about the ick, we're about the happy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you, listeners, for sending in some really insightful questions. And they certainly helped us. And they're ones that I don't know if you and I would we have thought about these, Holly? I don't know.
Everybody thinks of this in a different way, I think.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot for listening. We appreciate the input. We appreciate your listenership. Be sure to rate us and review us.
And follow us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube, and email us at ladieswhoquestion@gmail.com, and we will answer your questions.
To another week. High five, virtually. Bam.
Bam.
Thanks, Harvey. Ladies Who Question is executive produced and edited by me, Lisë Dominique, and also executive produced by Holli Caulfield. Holli also does most of our research, and Claire Caulfield is in charge of technical assistance and social media. Music, My Lionheart. Sketch music by Florian Manx and Matthew Anderson. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, rate, and review Ladies Who Question on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Send your thoughts to ladieswhoquestion@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and our website, ladieswhoquestion.com.
All content discussed on Ladies Who Question are the opinions of Lisë Dominique and Holli Caulfield and should not be construed as advice of any kind. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as advice of any personal or medical issue for yourself or others. This disclaimer also applies to guests or contributors to the podcast.